right, back to Black Mirror with Season 7, Episode 4. This is Part 2 of our spoiler discussion, handling half the season in the last video. And let's talk about the other half. All right. Speaking of my other half, what the episode Plaything, Episode 4, was a fave of yours. So
it was.
Run us through it.
This is like the Bandersnatch sequel episode, but I think that it technically takes place. I could be totally wrong on the timing. I thought it kind of was more of like a prequel though, because we find
and then a sequel.
Yeah, like it starts before the Bandersnatch, and then it becomes like a sequel to after the events of Bandersnatch. I really liked Bandersnatch. First of all, I think that's a great.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool. I love that. But this is very different. It still deals obviously with like a computer program, but instead it's the Throng, which are like the first non-biological life forms. Like they're aware. They just look like little like 2D like cutesy video game characters.
Yeah, it reminded me of Tamagotchis.
Yeah. I loved them. I thought they were really cute. And I totally would have been this guy that was like taking acid and like communicating with them.
Yeah.
He takes a ton of LSD.
Yeah.
So much LSD. But he learns their language, and they like tell him to basically, he continuously upgrades the computer setup and their like capabilities, like tech capabilities, like what they have access to.
Yeah.
And then finally they like teach him a QR. It's not a QR code, but it is like similar. I don't know what it's called. Where he gets himself arrested and then like shows this to the camera.
Yeah.
And it basically infiltrates like every like the public broadcast system, which sends out like a tone that interacts with like the human brain.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
To make us
to supposedly
docile.
make us to make us less like conflict oriented.
Docile.
Yeah, but like not like, well, I guess it depends. If the Throng are trying to take over humans, then yeah, like docile. To me that just sounds negative. Whereas the way I think that the main character is looking at it is like they're trying to help us like to be less aggressive.
Docile to me is like without aggression.
You know who's not without aggression? our little Grogu.
I'll have to look up the definition of the word docile, but to me...
No, it is. It is. I just feel like I always hear it in a kind of negative way, I guess. Maybe not.
Towards humans, maybe, but not towards animals.
That's true.
Like, he's more docile is a good thing for a dog.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't know. This kind of reminds me, sort of, not obviously anything to do with like AI and little living beings that are in a computer and all of that, but the desire to fix humanity's anger issues and take away the worst parts of our nature from us. This reminds me a bit of the Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes episode, where the guy like drops this chemical compound that he's created into like a volcano that puts it out into the atmosphere, and it takes away everybody's aggression, and it creates like world peace. But then the twist is that he didn't really study it all that well, and unfortunately it ends up having this side effect of giving everyone on Earth like Alzheimer's, and everyone is starting to forget who they are and dying, and there's nothing to do about it. Like kids, doesn't matter, everybody's getting it. So I mean, I think if you're somebody who just looks around at human history, and not even human history, like now, right, modern human history today and the past and where we're heading in the future, there of course is this like inclination of this desire to want to somehow better humanity, because we just seem to be so flawed at our core. Like, no matter what period of time we live in, and no matter how advanced we become, no matter how much knowledge we seem to get, it doesn't seem to make any difference. Like, yeah, we might be a little more docile than 100 years ago, and so on and so forth, and we might be, eking towards less and less of that. But if we it just depends on where you're at, of course, right? And where you are in like geography, like what country you're in, of course, but also just like what class you're in.
Yeah.
All of those things. But God, humans are just so confusing. As someone who really just doesn't understand human beings, I think a lot of us can agree. I don't know how many of you have felt like this, but I just genuinely sometimes feel like I am either in a really like intricate punked episode, like where I genuinely feel like I'm in the Truman Show at sometimes, where I'm just like, this can't be real. How can these stories be real? How can this be real? How can people be this terrible to each other? I just don't understand it. I don't understand the darkest parts of humanity, which seem to always pop up no matter how good we have things. And so this, like, making this computer program that can go, it's a fantasy scenario, right? Like, anytime anybody writes these kinds of stories, I think it really speaks true to how a lot of us have felt inside, just growing up around the insanity and looking at the history of the world, looking at how many atrocities that we commit, whether on a small scale or a large scale, and just how many people are complicit in it. It really just boggles the mind. So, I think this speaks to that desire in all of us for something to come along and fix whatever the fuck is broken in us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's like the hope of like aliens or, anything, even with AI. I think there's a hope there that like maybe they can tell us like where we went wrong. I really just liked the main character in this episode, Peter Capaldi's character.
Yeah.
I felt like I really related to him. And
isn't his name Paul Walker in this? I thought that was kind of funny. I think that's
Walker.
Maybe his middle name is Paul, but it's Paul Walker, and I just showed my kids all the Fast and the Furious movies, so
that's funny.
That was funny. It was Paul Walker.
He's definitely not Fast and Furious.
No.
But yeah, he's so awkward, and like he really connects with these Thronglets, and I guess there's an argument to be made. I mean, it depends, right? Like, I don't remember his name, but Bandersnatch guy, right? Like, gives him this software, essentially, like, gives it to him, leaves it for him to, this guy says he wanted me to take it. Yeah. So there's definitely, like, okay, I mean, that guy's a genius, and clearly he can, like, design things, but then I do also wonder if, like, the amount of LSD that he's taking, like, if he just kind of makes it, like does everything himself, and, like, comes up with that code himself.
It's definitely a good thought process for that. It's a good theory.
Yeah. I kind of lean towards not. I think the Thronglets are like really sentient and are communicating to him and giving him like information on how to build things. That's where I feel like I landed with everything. But yeah, I don't know. I thought this one I liked it. I think it probably is maybe one of the more forgettable ones for most people this season. Like, it's kind of like a whatever one for, I think, a lot of people. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool.
It was cool to see a connection to Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
That's not obviously more like within the show. It's kind of its own thing, right. And you wouldn't think you would see something that's even connected to Bandersnatch. So that was cool. And where the story ultimately ends up, it's not something that we haven't seen before, but I liked it. It's my least favorite episode of the season. But I didn't hate it. I thought that it was kind of quick and like, okay, that was cute.
When his friend starts killing them, yeah. Oh my god, I was so upset. That's so awful.
You've never played like Grand Theft Auto and just randomly shot someone?
I've definitely killed like NPCs and stuff in video games for for random reasons, but
I would never
to
randomly kill
that.
like animals or like cutesy little characters.
No.
It's always people.
Yeah, like, and even then, I
Speaking
definitely,
to how fucked up humans are.
when I play video games, I very much, like, I know it's supposed to give you, like, an outlet to explore maybe, like, different reactions to things or something, but I always, like, I never want to be the bad person in video games. Like, I hate...
Me neither.
Well, I don't hate it, but, like, with role-playing games, like, if there's, like, dialogue options and stuff, like, I can never make a character that's, like, rude or, like, sarcastic or anything. Like, it's always just me in the game character, like, responding in a way that I would respond with, you know, whatever pre-written thing is available.
That's true, 100%.
So, I don't know. I don't think I've killed that many. I've definitely played video games where you kill things. There's no doubt about that, and that's kind of like a theme, you know, obviously this episode, and then also very much in the last episode of this season, that is kind of like, you know, people playing games and like why humans play games, like just to kind of be violent in a space where there's, you know, supposed to be no consequences to your violence. I think is an interesting concept to explore, especially because of the emergence of AI and like another, you know, type of consciousness that we, you know, are constantly being told, like, no, the AI is not there yet. Like, they're not aware. They're not sentient. Like, they're just a program. Like, they just, like, seem like they're real. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't trust you. I feel like there's totally an actually aware, like, AI consciousness that exists in the world. Anyway, but, yeah, like, I definitely have played, obviously, violent video games and stuff, so...
I mean, we're going to get more into this conversation when we get to episode 6, so I think we can move on. I liked seeing the game Road Rash in here. I grew up playing Road Rash, so cool seeing that. And yeah, I mean, that's mostly what I have to say about it. This isn't one that I have a lot to talk about.
I don't feel like there's a ton to talk about with it either. I just liked it. But I just like the thronglets.
Yeah,
like
this is very much catered towards you.
Like the little sounds that they make that they're communicating.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
All right, episode 5, Eulogy, starring Paul Giamatti. This one definitely resonated with me. I think that this one is, you know... I think where you and I might differ, and this might get me in a fight with her. I'm not sure. We'll see. So I'm risking my marriage here.
What?
over
oh my
this.
gosh.
So I hope you guys appreciate this. No, you don't really have that past relationship that is like something that for years of your life you thought of as like, you know, maybe like the one that got away, right? Like you had a relationship that you were in for a long, long time, and it ended super poorly, and the person was not good to you, and you have like zero desire to go back. Yeah. And then the next person, you know, it's just kind of like a rebound thing, and you're like, don't hate them, you don't really, you know, like crazy about them, whatever. But with me, I definitely had someone who... for many, many years. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
It was this kind of question mark that always lingered, always remained in my mind, you know, and we stayed in contact for a long time, and it was always this like, did we fuck up? Did we not? Like, you know, things were said. Now, in this regard, with this episode, it's a little different because they break up. She leaves. We obviously find out later in the episode that she waited for him. That's sad. We'll get there. But like, you know, so they had this kind of like, she walked out on him, and to him, that was the last time he ever saw her. Yeah. So it's left in a much darker place for him than with my ex. Yeah. But it's still like this question mark in his mind forever. And in the episode, he's still single. Yeah. You know, I got lucky to meet Kaylee and to feel like I had closed that chapter of my life, because it was like, no, I'm meant to be with Kaylee, so I'm good now, right? That's kind of what closed my relationship off in my head, where it was like, no, like I don't want to be with anyone else but my wife now. As to where with this guy, from what we can see, he's still single.
Yeah.
After all these years. I don't know if I'm sure he's dated
Right.
women before, but it seems like he's still hasn't figured it out, still hasn't found a partner. And I think, that's due in part to the fact he could never let this relationship go. And also, part of it too, I think resonates with me a bit, is that I've not always been the greatest fucking guy. And I like stories that address these characters in a much more realistic fashion, where it's not like so cut and dry, she cheated on me and it was terrible and whatever. Like, no, like the more the layers are peeled back, the more honesty that's revealed in the pictures, the more you find out, like, oh, this girl's in your bedroom with you, what the fuck's up with this? Right? But then it doesn't just vilify him, she also has a one night stand with someone in in her like orchestra or whatever. So I really liked how genuine the complicated characters felt.
Yeah, I definitely think it shows how complicated relationships can be, for sure. And it is that kind of like the love of your life that got away.
Yeah.
Because we do get closure in the end, and it's really heartbreaking because we find out that she does open up to him and give him another chance, to kind of like, for them to mend things.
Yeah.
And, it is sort of like, would he have wanted to be with her and the baby? We don't necessarily know. I mean, that's obviously a whole nother like can of worms to open. But it is like really heartbreaking because it's like there's a missed like communication chance there. It's like, they're kind of maybe not meant to be, but at the same time they had that pull towards each other. And I get all that. I think I think the episode is very well acted. I think it's a really cool like concept.
Yeah.
The idea of like being able to like go into your memories and into like photographs and try and like just relive those moments is really interesting. And I like that with this, it's like, because our memories are only memories of memories. Like we don't actually remember the exact event the way that it happened. You only remember the last time you thought about it. And so it's like, as time goes on and years pass, like the memories of your youth, even ones that are like insanely intense and profound, they dull and they kind of like bleed around the edges. And that's what we see in his memories and these photographs, where it's like, the AI can't fully construct everything, and his memory is fuzzy. And obviously the big thing with this is that he's like marked all of her all of her faces out of the photos that he has of her, so he doesn't really remember what she looks like. I think it's a good episode. I guess I just didn't really connect to it as much as you did, which is fine. I feel like on all levels, like it was like I said, wonderfully acted, really cool concept, very like tragic, bittersweet, and I'm into all of that. Like I think all of it was really great. It just wasn't one that like I guess really emotionally hit me, like I think it probably did, obviously for you and then for other people too. So
yeah, because for me, it's just a tragedy, right? Like the fact that there was kind of like this lingering question mark for both of them. I mean, it's very apparent that the daughter contacting him, creating this virtual AI avatar to talk to him through, the only reason she would do that when he's not her father is because she knows that this person was important to her mom, and this is many, many years after they have separated. So she clearly knows about this person because she held on to it for so long, and she burned it into her kid's psyche when she passed on to this is the person I'm going to contact, and I'm going to create this person to talk to him and really take him through his past to get the true story out of it. And this AI is also programmed to kind of be a bit of a shit to him because it seems like his daughter knows the real story, but she also knows that she loved him despite whatever issues they had. And it's like they continue, she continued to hold a flame for him, obviously, because he never showed up.
Yeah.
And it's like things got left unresolved. And the last time she saw him, he pulled out a ring to ask her to marry him. And she felt like shit because she had an affair that led to a pregnancy. And of course, she's still mad at him for, calling. And this girl answers the phone, one that she was already jealous of when he was working at the bar with her.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a real story.
Yeah.
And it really is so tragic that they both never could really truly move on with their lives. And she's gone. It's not that she's getting he's getting contacted and he's dredging up this stuff from the past, and then he gets to maybe have his last few years with her or something. By the time he's like even talked to about this, she's already dead.
Yeah.
That time has passed. When you're younger, right, there's always still time. You still I thought of it. That's why, my ex and I kept it off for so many years. She went and got married for like a decade, and it was always like, if things are meant to be, they'll come to fruition eventually, even if it's 10, 15, 20 years in the future.
Yeah.
It seems, when you're young, it seems like time is kind of endless, and,
right.
and you got all the time in the world. But like once you start to get older and people start to die around you, and you really kind of see like, oh, that person's now gone.
Yeah.
There is no chance. Now, it's kind of like the way I feel about my mother. Like, I haven't talked to her in a long, long time, but because she's still alive, I'm always like, maybe one day we'll talk, whatever. But if she was to die today and I got that call, it would change things just a bit, because it's like there is no taking it back now.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken in, 13 years now, and it's like, it will be never now if she's dead.
Yeah.
I could go another 10 years and still talk to her in 10 years from now if she's alive. But when she's dead, that's it. And I think that's what's so tragic about this, is that he's kind of finding out in real time, not only that she left that letter and that he missed that opportunity in the past, but any opportunity that he could ever have is now gone as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of, like, the tragedy of this one, for sure, is that it's just completely, like, impossible for him to apologize or, anything. Yeah. But he does get a kind of a closure for himself. Like, it is very much, like, dealing with grief, and, he finally gets to see her face in the end and, like, remember this beautiful moment of her.
Yeah.
Which is really very nice and very sweet. And yeah, I mean, like, they're, like, the things that are happening in their relationship are just, like, the things that happen. I mean, they can happen at any age, but, like, they're very much, like, young, like, stupid, kids
100%.
that are just making these mistakes. And, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. And, like, people obviously always argue, like, the time to do it is when you're young, right? But it's just, it does feel so sad, because they, like, really just totally missed the opportunity to fix anything. And I definitely wasn't as, like, I think his character is a very realistic character. Like, he isn't black and white, but I definitely leaned more on the side of, like, disliking him, I think.
I will tell you the reason why is because we never get her side of the story.
Right. We just kind of get to find him, like...
You can paint her however you want.
Yeah.
And with him, you're seeing the ugliness.
Yeah.
Because we're reflecting through his eyes and his story.
But it is super, super realistic for him. Like, he's lying to himself, and he has been lying to himself, where he's like, no, it's not my fault. Like, she did this to me. How horrible. Like, she left me when I tried to propose to her. Like, she embarrassed me. But then it's like, as you said, like, we find out, like, this girl has been kind of hanging on him and, causing issues with their relationship for a while. So he's not, obviously without fault. But then, obviously she's also not without fault, because her reaction, I mean, granted, it's like, okay, if someone, like, cheats on you, you're kind of like, our relationship's over.
Fuck it, yeah.
Like, I'm going to go sleep with whoever.
Right.
But then she doesn't tell him to cancel the trip.
Right.
So it's also kind of like,
fucked up, yeah.
Obviously she doesn't mean it, right? Which she says in the letter, like, I didn't mean anything. Like, I was just, like, lashing out at you.
Well, she means like she wants him to fly out there so she can tell him, let's, be together if you want to deal with the kid. And when he springs the ring on her, it makes her freak out because it's like, this is too much.
Right.
And then leaves him the note and is like, okay, I've calmed down, come find me. And because he's fucking, he trashes the room in a fit of rage, that costs him dearly because he doesn't notice the note that she left for him in his childishness. So like a lot of this just has to do with immaturity.
Yeah.
But it, the problem is that the things that we do when we're young, they don't vanish when we get older.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything you've done to your body, anybody who was a stupid kid like myself who played sports and thought it was, watched too much Jackass with my friends and thought it was funny to recreate stunts from it and whatever. It's like, and back then it didn't hurt. I feel it now. I fucking feel it now, and that's a physical pain, but the same is true of mental pain and what you do to others and whatever. Like all that shit you do in your youth, you try to always just kind of push it off on this like, throwaway like, oh, I was young and dumb, it doesn't really matter. But unfortunately a lot of times it fucking does matter. And we always try to chalk it up to like, it's no big deal, but it is. And you got to get over it. You got to move on. But this guy's in fucking full denial.
Yeah.
He wants to see it however he wants to see it. And honestly, the more I've talked about people about relationships throughout my life, I can tell you that he is not, alone in this kind of thought process of like, I'm the perfect one in the relationship and it's always the other person. It's like the more I talk to other people, I see how one-sided they are with their narrative. And it's like, they do not have any kind of like added context of the second side of the story.
Yeah. Well, especially if it's like the relationship fails, then it's really easy to just be like super focused on your experience and like what was happening and how you feel versus like the other person.
I've always hated to look at relationships that you've had in the past as failures. I think that's a really narrow-minded way to look at things, right? Like if Kaylee and I ever divorced and separated, I would never look at our marriage as a failure. Yeah. Like ultimately, yes, we didn't work out, but I've had so many wonderful moments with you throughout my, the time that we've been together. To look at it as a failure in the future because we ultimately grow apart as we age, I think that's does such a disservice to the memory of our relationship. And like that we're looking at like, because when you think of a failure, it's just like nothing worked. It all was for nothing. Like, why did we even bother? And it's like we bothered because we were in love, because we had such a connection and we spent so many good moments together. To kind of ignore that memory it makes it feel like, what the fuck, you're going to spend 50 years with someone and you got divorced in the last like couple years of your life. You're just going to be like, I had a failure of a marriage. It's like,
yeah.
No.
Well, obviously like a big reason that people, seek out companionship and like have a relationship for so many is because people don't want to die alone. They don't want to be alone in the end of their lives. So it's like, yeah, if you have a relationship with somebody that lasts 50 years and then you divorce in your 70s or something, then it's like, at that point it does feel like it's too late for me to find somebody else that I have like a connection with. And, and that's not true, obviously. I don't think that's true, but it does complicate things because then, at that point a lot of people are dealing with health issues more and, it's like,
but a lot of them are just staying together out of fear of being alone.
And that's awful too, you know, but it is like, you just there's so many different like chapters in like your life, and there can be so many different people that are the right person at a certain time, and like that.
Oh, sure.
I'm not
their
saying
experiences.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's not people that you can grow with throughout chapters. Like that's the ideal, is that okay? Like, I know we're both going to change because it's inevitable. Right. But if we can grow and change together, like, that's what you want to happen. And it doesn't always happen like that.
And it's okay if it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's okay if it doesn't. If your trajectories just veer off course together as long as you can be mature about it and recognize the reality of the situation, then there should be a way to be amicable.
Yeah, but it's
a lot of
so
people
much
just
easier
get
said.
so up in their fucking head about it.
Well, it's very emotional, obviously. It's really hard, especially because I think for most people relationships end like people won't be honest about it. Yes.
And the other one doesn't.
One person will be like,
out.
I'm done, or they're cheating, or they're lying about something, or they're not changing some behavior that's like destructive to the relationship in some way. And so it's like, it feels like you never hear about the people that are like, we just realized that we grew apart, like, and we just decided, like, to, be friends or whatever, but we're not going to be romantic anymore. Like, I feel like you don't hear that, like, nearly ever. I'm sure it exists, but, like,
because
and then
most people aren't self-reflective.
Yeah, and with this one, like, again, we're, like, this episode, all of this happens when they're young. I mean, they're both in their, like, 20s when this happens. And, like, your 20s are such a crazy time to be, like, it really does just feel like an extension of your teen years. It's like you're basically a teenager, but you can do adult things. So it's, there's not really an easy way to be mature and, like, self-reflective of, like, I cheated on her, so she cheated on me, let's move past that. Like, your feelings get hurt, and it's hard. So, but it is a great episode. Definitely.
I've pulled you around on it?
Well, no, I didn't say I don't hate it or anything. I just am not as, I don't know. I just didn't vibe as much as you did with it.
Yeah.
That's our dog.
Our dog is mad at you.
I know. Grogu.
Hey, Grogu.
He's a
Chill
protector. And also thinks he's an attack dog. But he's not.
He's Metalhead. From,
Metalhead?
like, season whatever. Those, like, robot dogs. Remember Metalhead?
Oh. For some reason, all I could think of was the dog in the mask when he puts the mask on. I don't know why. It's not a metalhead, but I was just thinking about him, like, because our dog would do that. He would put the mask on.
Yeah.
He'd be like, and then he'd be like, crazy.
It's season 4, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Maybe. Whatever, Metalhead. Anyway, that's the name of the episode, right? Anyway. Alright, last thing I'll say on that episode is that I really liked the way that the special effects were done when he walks into the pictures.
Yeah, that was cool. When people are, like, half loaded, and then, like, he goes around to look at her, and she's just, like, just pixels and, like, creepy stuff, and it's, like, very jarring. And, because the computer can't, like, generate that information, so it just sort of, like, fills it in, kind of. Yeah. Very cool.
Very cool. Alright, last episode. Do you have anything more to say? No? Okay. The USS Callister Into Infinity, the sequel to season 4. Yeah, it's season 4. A season 4 episode that I just never thought we'd get a sequel to. This is a long while ago now. A fantastic fucking episode, the original one. This is definitely something that we talk about when it comes to AI and wanting robot servants, but also this. Okay, like, I don't want to talk too much spoilers about the movie Companion, but there are some similarities in there to the USS Callister, because you have these people who want to play out their darkest fantasies, but without repercussions. So they create these real people that have real emotions and can feel real pain, but they're not technically real, which is fucked up.
Yes.
And they torture and murder them for their own pleasure, which is just, I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck? People are, that's crazy to me.
I mean, the technology to, like, digitally clone somebody is outlawed because of, like, in this universe, because of human rights issues, which absolutely. Yeah. Because it is, like, it's not just that it is a very realistic computer program that looks like this person. Like, it is straight up a copy of their consciousness. Yeah. Which, like, that's there's so many differences, like, because this is what I was kind of saying earlier with video games. You know, people obviously always argue, the big argument is that video game violence is, like, bad for people and it makes them more violent, and, like, I definitely don't think that's the case at all. We've talked about it on the channel.
Yeah.
But, if you were to, like, instead of, if you had, like, an AI model, like, that was, like, actually feeling things and responding to you and, you know, doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to hurt it, or I want to, like, you know, do sexually devious things with it against its, like, will.
Yeah.
That is messed up. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because then it's like you're taking, like, an aware, sentient being that can consent to things, and you're taking away their, like, willpower and freedom and everything.
Yeah.
Versus when it's a toy, right? When it's the game and it doesn't have that awareness and it's, like, it's just like a tool. That's a totally different, like, thing. Obviously, the argument is like, well, you're still hurting something that looks like a human. So, like, it's still triggering the same part of your brain or whatever. But I do think that there's a big difference between, like, realizing, like, that you, like, I don't know. That just seems like the difference between, like, a regular, like, person and, like, a serial killer. Like, if you actually want to hurt something that can feel the pain.
Yeah.
Which is the case with this guy, right?
Because
like,
that's the desired effect.
Right.
Right, is that they want something to feel pain.
Right,
and
right.
feel this power over them and whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I completely, like, understand logically where people are coming from. I think that, you know, it makes logical sense to me that someone would think that video game violence leads to real violence. I'm not saying I don't understand, like, the like thought process behind it, but as a violent video game player for my whole fucking life, I can tell you that it makes me 0% less aggressive. In fact, it makes me, or I should say more aggressive. It makes me less aggressive.
Yeah.
Because I have an outlet for some of my anger and whatever. But if I thought that the NPCs actually had a life and felt the shit that I was doing to them,
I already can't do it. Like, this is what I was saying. Like, I already don't want to be mean in video games when I know that there's no, like, awareness that's there. So it's like, if you were to tell me, like, if you were to sit me down and be like, okay, like, the computer's, like, alive.
Yeah, I mean,
then there's, like, no way. Like, there's just literally no way that I could do anything like...
I don't get any pleasure out of killing random things in video games. Like, I want it to be an enemy.
Yeah, and, I mean... I think it's a complicated topic for sure, because, like, could you argue, like, okay, there's some innate desire in humans that they need to, like, hunt and kill and be violent, and, like, the video games and whatever, like, fulfills that.
Yeah,
sure,
probably.
and, like, if we eliminated video games and, like, any ability for
then
humans,
people would just start killing other people.
But, like, that's the thing. But then the other thing is, like, if you're somebody who's, like, when they're playing a video game and is, like, you know, a shooter and is like, I want to actually shoot people, like, then that's a problem. That's another problem outside of the video game.
Want to shoot
people, like, if you took the game away from them, they would still want to do it.
No one picks up a video game and is just like, now I want to, like,
do this for
real.
I am, like, the most passive person ever. I'm so nonviolent. Yeah. I save every bug in our house. Like, I don't want to hurt anything. But I've played tons of violent video games. Yeah. And I have fun playing them. Yeah. But it's like, it does not awaken anything in me. No. We watch tons of, like, super gory, violent, like, movies. Yeah. Right? Like...
Sure, I mean,
and
as
there's
a horror
an enjoyment
channel,
that's there, but...
I think our audience is definitely on board
with
what we're saying.
With this one, though, it is, like, very... This is what we talk about with, like, where video games are going, and this is kind of the same thing with, like, Hotel Reverie. Like, this is what would be really exciting, and I hope we do see it in our lifetime, because, like, the idea that you could go into a game like Infinity and just be, like, straight up, like, on an alien planet and just be able to jump around, and, like, it feels like reality. Like, it feels like you're just in a new world, and, like, you know, obviously you'd have abilities and stuff that you don't have. Like, that's super cool and very exciting. And it is something that I'm like, that would be amazing. But we also talk on the flip side of, like, people would want to live in there.
100%.
And then you'd also have people like this who are, like, psychopaths that are, like, trapping people in a virtual space to harm them and, you know, do damage to their psyches and stuff. And Yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, this is Ready Player One, right? I mean, this is the exact same concept. This is not the first time we've seen this. This is like another one of those desires in humans to escape the real world in a fantasy world. This is nothing new, right? Whether it's Westworld or you can go down the list.
Speaking of Westworld, too, we've got what's his face in this?
Oh,
that guy. I never remember his name. And it's been so long since I've seen Westworld, but the owner of the company is a character in Westworld.
I used to do his mom's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with like this idea of going into a video game, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, as soon as they can figure out how to make sex feel realistic in a virtual reality setting where you can like fuck whoever you want without consequence and without any like, you have to go and try to pick them up and wine and dine them or whatever the fuck, right? Get to know them. If you can just go into a virtual reality as a guy or a girl, I think women would be more into this than some people would think. But like,
I think it would be for both genders.
If you can just go into this fantasy world and fuck anything and anyone you want without judgment, right? Like,
sure,
you can fuck a man, you can fuck a giraffe, whatever the fuck you want, and you can make it feel real. It's over. It's over. People will disappear into that shit forever.
He even says that this technology was started by like the porn industry.
Sure.
Which makes sense, and like, yeah.
Well, he says that the
cloning stuff started with the porn. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
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 He makes this purely as a fantasy to live in Starfleet, right?
Oh, like, yes, yeah. The Infinity Game is just like his like baby because he's so obsessed
with basically Star Trek.
With Star Trek.
Yeah.
His character, it's been a while since I saw like their first episode, but his character in this, like, he's such a weird mix of
sympathetic and fucking
like scary
evil.
And creepy.
100%.
Like, I feel bad for him because
100%.
like so much of this is him just being like really awkward and wanting to be, he's very nerdy and he's like really obsessed with this show and like nobody gives a shit and like wants to talk to him about it. And they take advantage of him and his intelligence and everything, and then it's like, but he's also like deep down is very like, obviously that's made him so resentful and like hateful of people. So it is really interesting. But yeah, I really liked seeing like, like all these players getting like robbed by no player tag people, like bandits and stuff, and just kind of this like, the online gaming, but brought to this like virtual space where they're like are trying to report them for stealing stuff, and I thought that was all like really cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably my favorite episode of the show. It's such a great sequel. They're both, I don't know if the first one is feature length, but this one is feature length, so this feels like a part 2 film.
Yeah.
To the first one. It's been a long time. Yeah, I mean, it's been many years since I saw the first one. So much so that I had totally forgotten the lead actress of this episode was in the past one because it's been so many years. And I've gotten this like massive crush on her ever since The Penguin.
Yeah.
And so like I liked her a lot in Palm Springs too, but it was in The Penguin where I started like really like crushing on her hard, and then in this episode it really like was like, oh my god, this girl is so cute and so fucking like cool. And so like this episode just explores so many things. This is like Black Mirror at the core. Like everything about this is perfectly encapsulates everything Black Mirror sets out to do.
Yeah.
And to have sequels now, right? Like, I don't remember there being sequels previous to this.
Right.
Right? Like, this is the first season. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but we got a Bandersnatch kind of pseudo sequel prequel thing. And we also got this USS Callister sequel. I don't remember there being any sequels previous to this. But as I said, please correct me if I'm wrong on that. but it was interesting to see 2 in here. But it was a very big surprise when I saw the original trailer and saw that they were doing a sequel to this. I was like, oh, I thought that story was done, and holy shit, was I wrong. Like,
oh, yeah.
This fully paid off. It was never questioned for 1 second why this needed to be made and what more this thing had to say and all of that. Like, no, not at all. This episode was fucking great. So much so that I am pretty much convinced with the ending of this episode that we will get a part 3.
I feel like we will too. It has such a dark ending. It is bittersweet, I guess, too, but it's very, like, messed up, and it's like, was he going to do that all along? Like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's awful. Like, not only was he going to make a copy of her to keep for himself, which is, like, okay, side note on that, I can't blame him for wanting companionship because he's literally just, like, stuck there without anything. But I'm also like, why can't he, like, make
a person,
like one of the Starfleet people or something? Like, I'm a little confused, I guess, on that.
I don't think he can create people. Yeah. So the world seems to be populated by either, like, alien life forms, which the, like, copy of the boss is eating in one of the episodes, or in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
But we don't seem to see any fake NPC type people in the world. It's all like they're just creates like topography and planets and you know, more Earth-like structures.
Yeah.
Is he capable of creating one with kind of like godlike powers that he possesses, where he can like reach his hand out and bring things to him like a Jedi and create, like he can, you know, make her mouth disappear and all that.
Right.
You would think he would at least be able to make like a doll he could fuck.
Right. I don't know. Maybe it's addressed in the first one that he can't do that. But again, it's like, yeah, of course, he's so lonely and he's literally just like trapped there forever. Like, I can't blame him for wanting a friend. I mean, he wants a girlfriend. He wants somebody there that he can be with. But I do wonder if his plan all along was to be like, we'll save them, but like by putting them in her brain. It seems weird, but he also is kind of sadistic, so it's like maybe that was the plan, or maybe it's just because he gets killed and like the game starts to shut down that it kind of like glitches a little.
Yeah, fucks his program up.
Which that's probably what happens, but for them to be like, oh great, we're just like in her brain now, and they can't even talk, like she can't hear them, she has to call them and talk to them.
Yeah.
But oh my god, like just the idea that like there's a bunch of people in your head that are like people that you know that are just gonna have to watch you like pee and watch. I mean, like they say, like we close our eyes when you pee and have sex or whatever.
Yeah.
So that way we can watch like the True Housewives or whatever. Yeah. Which I mean that's fine, but like there's definitely going to be another like sequel to that. There has to be. I mean, she's working on some way to get them out of there. Like, I would be very surprised if we don't get another episode with this storyline.
Yeah, I would think so. I like that there's a bit of a commentary on microtransactions in video games and how ridiculous it's getting as a gamer. Amen to that. There's also a little like kind of jab at this. It's funny that it's become such a thing for people, but it's become such a joke of name 5 Metallica records.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And she's like, name your favorite
Exit
Metallica.
Sandman. And they like pause.
And he's like, wait, Enter Sandman.
It's Enter Sandman.
Yeah, they fucking start shooting
Very
at him.
funny.
But that's funny that they made it Metallica. I don't know where that started, but it's definitely become a pretty like culturally relevant thing of women who have like use that as an example of like you wear a Metallica shirt and then a guy has to run up to you and be like, name my 5
but
Metallica
with
records.
Anything, with literally anything. If
I know, but that's become the like
it is the
stand-in.
The like meme.
Yeah.
Seems to like start with Metallica. Yeah, but that's like anything you wear, like any band or
have you experienced
any
this
traditionally
in your life where you're wearing like a Halloween shirt and
the funny
like,
thing is that I feel like the only time that I had something like that happen, but it wasn't really something I couldn't answer, but when we were at like a horror shop in Terror Trader, and I was buying a t-shirt, the Beyond t-shirt, and I think the guy asked me like what my favorite
Fulci
film was,
Yeah.
and I like just totally blanked and was like, I haven't seen any. But I didn't say that. I think you were there and you started talking to him about stuff.
I started mansplaining. I stepped over and was like, "Excuse me,
Yeah.
let me tell you."
But that
about
happens
Fulci.
to me
No,
in general with things where, like, when people ask me, like, what's something you like in this whatever, I always just kind of like automatically freeze up, and even though like I will know like an answer, I like can't reply in the moment, and I can only like then later I'm like,
you don't
why
like
didn't
being put on the spot.
Why didn't I say this to them or whatever?
Yeah.
So that wasn't really a good example.
You have
of that,
social anxiety, so that's a big issue for you, and then you get like this worry that you're gonna be wrong about what you're saying. Yeah. Like, wait, is that a Fulci film or is that a Argento film?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I literally will, and then after I reply to somebody, like if I have an interaction, even like a brief one like that with somebody, like just a cashier or something.
Yeah.
I'll spend the like at least a good amount of the rest of the day like just kind of like replaying it in my head, and being like, oh, I should have done this, or like, oh, did they think this when I said that thing, and like their facial expression maybe meant this, and like I just kind of constantly have to like analyze every single part of it.
Same.
And yeah, I do that like all the time.
Same.
And I hate it, but I can't turn it off. So
same. Yeah, I replay conversations I have with people in my head endlessly, and I'll sit there and I'll replay the whole thing, and then I'll have like fake arguments or like fake like you know where it should have went, and then I'll have like their commentary to my replies and my retorts, and we'll be back and forth.
I don't do the argument thing. I know you do.
God, I do.
Because I don't really argue with people, but I do like plan what I'm going to say to somebody. Like if I'm going to order something, I like to have my order already, like what I know I'm going to order, and then exactly like what I'm going to say to them. Yeah. And then if they like don't reply the way that I think they're supposed to reply, like in like my script in my head, then it throws me off because I'm like, wait, no, they were supposed to say like my change, or they were supposed to like whatever. Yeah. And so then it really messes me up and makes me feel like, I don't know, I'm like, I wasn't prepared for this. So, but the Metallica thing, yeah, like I don't really think I've had. I'm sure maybe somewhere in my life it's happened, but I just don't remember it if it did. Not with Metallica, but with, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it to people, but people have done it to themselves plenty of times around me. And I definitely do not try to gatekeep, but I can't help myself when someone is putting themselves out there as an expert on something and they know fuck all about it, right? Like I've watched enough YouTube channels in my life where people are talking about horror movies, and then they get asked questions about the most basic shit and they have no fucking idea what they're talking about. I'm like, I can't take you seriously anymore.
Big difference between somebody being like, I'm an expert, like I know a lot about this thing, and then not really knowing that much about it, versus like a teen girl that's like, I just like this Nirvana shirt, and I've heard like one Nirvana song, and like I'm just gonna wear it because I think it's a cool shirt. Or a good example too is, especially because this is about video games, is that there's so many like, video games are like this stereotypically male space where it can be really hard for like women to go in because they get like just verbally abused by
men think women
like
are
boys and men
games.
And they might like one game, like they like some Nintendo Switch, like, Stardew Valley or whatever.
Oh, sure.
And then they're like,
you're not a gamer.
You're not a real gamer because you don't play first-person shooters and like Call of Duty and freaking, whatever else. So I think it's funny that like the most like badass like character, like gamer in this is a girl that's like got like this super cute little like gamer outfit on for her character, like all pink and everything.
Yeah, she looks right out of like Apex Legends.
Yeah, like super adorable, and she's like very like she keeps coming back and back, like fighting them, and she's like good, and then even in the end, like she's like doing really well. And I thought that was funny because there's tons of girls that are so good at those kinds of games. I haven't really been on TikTok because my account got hacked.
Yes,
in case anybody was wondering.
So fucking annoying.
But I used to sometimes get videos occasionally. I try not to, like, interact with the content too much because I don't it can be really negative content.
Of gamer girls.
Yeah, of girls that, like, they will be in voice chat in, like, some, like, Call of Duty.
Those videos,
and the guys are all, like, piling on her and just being, like, just awful. They say horrible things.
You,
and then she just, like, decimates them. And it's, like, that's so satisfying to watch. But I try not, like I said, I try not to interact with that kind of content because it is really, like, it can be really negative. And I, like, don't want to see, like, it is, like, hoorah, like, yeah, she's, like, kicking their ass and, like, showing them up, but I also, like, don't want to hear them, like, what they have to say to her because it's so lame and shitty. And, like,
I don't know why anyone would think that a man has any kind of advantage over a woman in video games. That's fucking crazy.
Especially, like, now in 2025, like, video games have been so accessible for so many, but even when they were new, like, there were still girls and, like, chicks that were into video games. Like, it's not... I don't know.
There's definitely, like, there was for a time, and there probably still is to some degree. There's a lot of, like, poser girls who come into certain genres because they get a lot of attention for what they're doing, because they want, you know, attention online, or they want attention in some space. So they put on a costume, they put on a front. Like girls who would go to, like, a Comic-Con and do cosplay and a character and whatever, and then you talk to them about that thing and they don't give two fucks about it, right? They just want the money or the attention or whatever. And I think that a lot of guys became very jaded towards that kind of girl.
Yeah,
I don't
but that's
think
just
it's
because
fair.
they, like, those kinds of guys are wanting girls to look a certain way and fulfill a certain fantasy that they have.
Sure.
Whereas, like, real people don't necessarily, like, gamer girls don't put on, like, a ton of I mean, yes, of course, like, this is a, like...
generalization.
Yeah, of course, there's some girls that are like, yeah, like, I want to get all, like, cutesy and dolled up and play games, and, like, that's totally fine, but, like...
The streamers.
So many... Yeah, like, if you're streaming, right,
Yeah.
like, there's an expectation to be
sure.
attractive and perform, so you get the views and you get, you know, the money and everything, that's fine. But there's, like, so many girls that are just like, I play games that look like a little goblin when I do it, but I love them and I play them really well, or, you know, they make me happy even if I don't play them well.
Right.
And, yeah, but this one, yeah.
We're getting
We're getting very off topic.
Yeah, so, you know, them just trying to be alive and to get into their into their own universe where they're not constantly having to dodge all of these online gamers who, you know, if they kill them, then game over. And they don't have enough gas money to kind of traverse the universe.
Yeah, they just get stuck somewhere and become like a sitting duck if they don't.
But yeah, the back and
the
forth between the real world and in the fantasy world and playing multiple, you know, dual roles, and it is fucked up because our main character here dies.
Yeah, she
right?
does die,
and
like
a replacement of
Yeah.
sort of who she is.
But this is that,
takes
like,
her over.
a clone of you isn't you.
It's not you. No.
It has, like, it starts
can
with your
copy your
memories, but then
consciousness, but that ain't
you're
you.
not aware of anything that happens after you die. Like, it's just you're continuing and reacting the way you would react,
Yeah,
perhaps.
you're a
but,
copy.
Yeah, that's not immortality or anything. So yeah, she does die. It was really messed up when she got hit by the car. I was like, oh my god, that's... Ugh.
I knew it was coming.
It was awful. I mean, she's telling him, like,
anytime
I'm gonna go to
somebody
the...
walks out of the road,
I'm gonna go to the news. I'm gonna do all this stuff,
Yeah.
and then who's hitting people like that? Like, what's going on?
he's on his phone.
He's not looking.
He
And he's like, is she okay? I'm like,
He was probably
did
in
you see her
Infinity
body
while
fly?
driving.
Yeah, probably.
They love these, like, little things on the sides of the heads in these episodes.
I can only imagine that there's some, like,
Neuralink.
real life, like, example of that.
Yeah, they use it in, like, 3 episodes?
They use
right?
it in 3 in this, and
2 at least.
Yeah.
It's the last one and this one for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, this technology where they just pop it onto the side of your head. It's like the exact same thing.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It's
the exact same technology in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love my life with you, for sure. And I like hanging out with my kids and being here. But I mean, as obsessed as we get with our fucking stupid phones that are these like silly little distractions that have cute little cat videos, If I could pop on a fucking headset or like put something on the side of my head and I literally feel like I'm in some full-on fantasy world where I can do anything and be anybody and go anywhere.
Well, yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna be hard to pull people away from that.
This is why I think everybody should learn how to lucid dream, because that's essentially the same exact thing. Like, if you can control your dreams, you can do anything in your dreams. So it's like the exact same thing.
So if you're fucking guys in there in your lucid dreams, are you cheating?
No, but there is.
I've heard. But it is in the AI, like
if they're like real consciousness of people.
But if I go into a video game and I have sex with an NPC,
no, that would be the same as you like masturbating to porn.
Really? So if it has a consciousness,
if you are like, I would rather have sex with the NPC like than you, and it interrupts like, because that's obviously the issue with like pornography too, right? Is like if it makes it so that you can't have like a real relationship with your partner. Right. Because you're like, I can only have like, you know, arousal from this kind of stimulation.
This would be
very hard for a lot of people. This would be the kind of thing that it's like, it would be like relationship by relationship. Like you would have to figure out what you two feel is comfortable, right? Like if you're comfortable with it and the boundaries are there and like whatever, then yeah, like it should be fine to do. But
I think it's the safest way to do a three-way or any of those kind of random like things,
if you could go in together and stuff. But I have heard some interesting theories about like the idea of like when you're lucid dreaming and the characters in your dreams, like there's different levels of awareness that dream characters can have towards you, where like they sometimes do feel like they're just like, you know, like little robots, or like you can kind of like, you know, you make them do whatever and it feels very much like you're puppeteering things. And then there's other characters that seem to have an awareness that feels like separate from yours because you can't control them. Like you'll have conversations and stuff and you won't be able to tell like what they're going to say. And obviously like a big argument is like, okay, it's still just your consciousness, but it's like a different part, like you're like what is the word? Like you're compartmentalizing like different parts of yourself, so it feels like you're having a conversation with another person, but it's still just you. But we don't know like anything. We don't know enough about dreams to really say that like for sure that you're not maybe going to a different plane of awareness and having a conversation with another consciousness.
Keep having to rein us back in. We're all over the place with this one. When he said he was going to clone Robert Daly, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
I thought for sure he was going to make, this was going to be like Multiplicity with fucking Michael Keaton.
There's like a ton
like
of
50 of them or something.
Yeah.
You know, we're creating planets individually and he could pump out 100 of them in a fucking day because he's like got so many people. But it was just one guy. It's just one extra guy would have that much more of an impact. He could only create 8.
Yeah.
And he wanted like 100, and it's like, let's just get you one guy. But I guess the difference here is that this is a copy of himself that isn't true to life, because this one seemingly doesn't need to sleep and doesn't age.
And he doesn't really he doesn't have an awareness of how much time has passed.
Yeah, that's why.
Because he's kind of just been in there for, I mean, we know years.
Yeah.
But he like says something like 500 years, 5,000 years, and it's like, I mean, that alone would, I think, make somebody go insane. Just, you know, it's like cruel. Like humans aren't meant to be alone.
How are they getting him to continue to keep creating is my question. Like,
the only thing I can think is that time has to feel slower to him. Like, or faster. Yeah. Like he has to not feel like that much time has passed.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you felt like it was years that you're just in there without talking to anybody or doing anything other than the same thing, like it would just drive you crazy. Because he's not like a program. He's an awareness. Like he's his copy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's very messed up that he gets stuck in there. And obviously, yeah, like his real self, his outside self, his outie, you know, puts his innie in there. Very Severance.
Yeah.
And that's evil to do. I would never do that. I would never make a version of myself and then trap them somewhere to do a task endlessly for me because I don't want to do it endlessly.
Oh, sure.
I'm still making myself do it endlessly.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, who are you having sex with in your video game, your Infinity version?
The chick from Penguin.
That girl?
Obviously.
Well, no, not in Infinity. Like in a hypothetical game that lets you do that. Her still?
Does it have to be a video game character? Is that what kind of answer you're trying to give me?
No.
What?
Any person. Any
you,
celebrity.
Babe. Only you.
Oh, okay.
I don't fucking know. I mean, I only get one?
No, I guess not. You can have multiple.
I mean,
But just like, who's the first one that you're like, that's the one I want to sleep with? Is it little Anya?
No.
No?
No.
Winona Ryder? Oh, Drew Barrymore.
Emma Stone, probably.
Emma Stone?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
What about you? Now we've opened this fucking
well,
Pandora's
how about
box.
not a celebrity, but they can
here
have
we go.
the celebrity.
My dad or somebody.
No, they can have the celebrity likeness.
Oh, what?
I'll say Joel Miller.
Oh, fuck, here we go.
So.
A video game character. So you
But
pick the video game
Pedro,
character.
But it could look like I wouldn't be upset.
Either or?
It could either look like the actual, but not. Like, I don't want it to look animated. He'd have to look like a person.
Yeah.
Like,
agreed.
Right? Or...
I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to have sex with, like, an animated
if
thing.
You were also
like Jessica
animated.
Rabbit or something. You know what I mean?
Or as a human. Like, if you were animated?
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't. I can't really see me. I'm just gonna look down at my animated dick. Have the extendo button. Boop. All right. What the fuck are we talking about? Anyway, so that's it. Who would you fuck? I guess that's the question of the night. Yeah, we're on the table, I guess.
No.
No, we're not on the table?
We're not celebrities. It shouldn't even be, I guess, celebrity. Like, that's the whole, like, argument with, like, AI right now, right? Is that, like, it takes celebrities' likenesses or something, and, like, you know, taking anybody's likeness really isn't great unless they give consent. So in this hypothetical question, all of the people that you would be like, I would sleep with them, have given consent for their likeness to be, like, used for your pleasure. But it sucks because, like, what happens when you dream about somebody, though? Like, they don't give consent for you to dream about them.
What the fuck are we even talking about?
I'm just saying, that's also something to think about.
Emma Stone signed the contract.
Joel Miller, I'll see you in my dreams.
See you in court, dude. You don't even exist.
What? No, he does.
Joel Miller isn't real.
He is.
Pedro Pascal is real.
But Joel Miller is better than Pedro Pascal.
Okay, but he's still not real. All right.
See you in my dreams, Joel Miller.
We're done. Have a good one, guys. Join us on Sunday for The Last of Us.
Yeah.
We'll keep that one more on the rails.
I won't talk about wanting to have sex with Joel Miller, though, and that I won't.
We'll just know that's what she's thinking the whole time.
Know that it's in my brain, but that won't probably won't, because this episode's probably gonna mess me up. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Bye, guys.